Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Auntie, where we have real talk about real life situations. I am Tanya Lynne, that Auntie, you know I am. And I want to welcome my wonderful guests today. We have from the Empowerment Church in East Cleveland, Ohio, Pastor Anthony Mattox and his amazing, classy, sassy, and fabulous wife, Tiffany Mattox. She is the in-house intimacy enhancement specialist. But before we get into our discussion, I have to give a shout out to Lisa and Donald McGuthrie. They are the owners of Signature Events Venue and Catering on 1361 East 260th, formerly known as Tizano's, but it is now a Black-owned business in Euclid, Ohio. Yes. Last night, they launched their summer nights at Signature. It was wonderful. It was from 6 to 9 p.m. There were vendors, there were food trucks. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun. Why? Because we had DJ No Request on the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, honey, and a live reggae band. This is a perfect opportunity for you to take the person that you care about on a special date night. And it's also important, just because you're married, you don't stop dating. So make sure that you're taking your boo thing. Ladies, you can ask your husband out on a date. Stop waiting for your husband to do something for you. And how about you do something for him? Trust me, you'll love how he responds. And so now we are going to go to our guest. But remember, July 11th through September 5th from 6 to 9, Tuesdays at Signature are Signature Hot and Sizzling Summer Nights. Okay. Hey, guys, how y'all doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it is an honor. I thank you two are like the hottest, sexiest couple out there. You show people that it's okay to be saved and be in love and be transparent and to be intimate. And I love how even you are transparent with your children, your adorable grandbaby. I saw the picture that you posted today. That one right there has personality. There needs to be a script written around that baby right now. Has so much personality already. And then with being a pastor and having a phenomenal outreach ministry and making an amazing impact in East Cleveland, and you by his side, but confident and strong to stand in your own shoes with your own feet. I think that is just dynamic and phenomenal, and still be accessible. And wait a minute, not bougie with it.
That's right.
You bad and bougie, but you're not bougie with it.
That's right.
You know. So I just want to know, how long you guys been married?
Oh, what year is
We
this?
got together 2004. We've been together since 1999. So together 24 years.
Yeah.
Married at 21. 21 years.
So since 1990, so you can say I'm going to party like it's 1999. Yes, I like that.
May 10th.
That's right.
Wow. Well, happy anniversary. It's June, so that was an anniversary.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
I was in the 9th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girl, how did he get your attention? Did he get on your nerves at first?
Yes.
See?
I was not checking for him. In fact,
See how she do? She tell the truth though.
in fact, I was kind of talking to a friend of his,
Okay.
and then next thing I know, I was walking away with him. So I don't know how he
Hey.
saw what he wanted.
She walked away but didn't stumble.
I saw her in Bible study. It was after school
Yes, it was
Bible study at the
it
high
was
school. My friend brought a Bible study.
It was that Jesus.
True story.
I'm telling you.
True story.
Look at that.
The Lord is my shepherd. He knew what I wanted.
And now he lies down in green pastures. Yes.
somebody.
While you lead him beside this. And so how many children do you have?
We have 4.
Wow.
And they range from 14 to 21.
22. He's 22
yes.
now. Yeah, 22.
Can't keep track.
And 2 beautiful grand princesses.
Yes.
They are beautiful babies. They are
Yeah,
beautiful.
Will
I
Rod.
love those two.
I know they got some papa rap.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
this
man.
one?
Raps.
Yes, completely
Done.
wrapped.
They're
Wrap,
my
tied,
babies. I can't
tangled.
help it. I see them and money just fly out. Money just fly out the pocket.
So when did you know that you were called to preach? Did you know at a young age, but you just kind of like didn't know? I mean, when did you actually start walking in that call?
So I tell folks I've been in the church my whole life. I came in, I got saved under Bishop McKinney. Wow, I just went way back.
Wow.
Bishop Bill McKinney at the time off of Lakeshore. And then Pastor Richard Bunkley, Apostle Richard Bunkley, began a church, Freedom Christian Assembly, on 152nd, and my family shifted over there.
Okay.
And we did a church plant there, and it was there that ministry kind of really struck. Both my parents have always been in ministry.
Okay.
My grandfather, my uncles, my aunts. There's tons of pastors in our family, so there's
Yeah.
always been a pull to ministry. And it's funny because it's the one thing I said I would never do. I
Yes,
remember
you told me
ushering
that.
back at Apostle Bunkley's church, and I said, I'll do anything in the church, but I'm never going to pastor.
Wow.
Them people get on his nerves. They be calling him all times. And I said, I'm going to do anything but that.
And that's the thing. When we come from a family, because I'm a PK, and then my grandfather was a deacon, chairman of the deacon board, head of the Sunday school superintendent, godfather's a pastor, cousin's a pastor. When I look back at my great-grandmother, she was like one of the first evangelists that I could ever think of, spoke in tongues. And so when people talk about, Baptists don't believe in this and that, I didn't understand that till I moved here. Because where I came up, females were pastoring. We were speaking in tongues. We were praying for the sick, and they were healed, and they did recover. And so I was in a culture shock when I came into the quote-unquote city. Because I expected it to be even more of that. And I hit a lot of walls and barriers. But I can relate to when you come from a family of believers and those that are active.
Yeah, I can tell you, out of all the ministers and pastors, I'm the only non-denominational. Everyone else is Baptist.
Wow.
I understand what you're saying, but I was exposed, and because of the non-denominational background that I have of seeing women step out in ministry, so it's something that was always new to me, or always just normal to me, rather.
Right,
So, to see my mother stand and teach and prophesy,
right
alongside
Come
my
on now.
father, and so and work the altar right alongside
Yes.
him. And so for me, I thank God for that grounding, because it was never something I had to work through or kind of figure out. It was something I've always been able
Comfortable
to embrace. Absolutely.
in.
And so I took all of that passion and then started working and doing prayer and Bible studies in the school.
Okay.
And then after I graduated, God just kind of shifted us. I was actually going to school to be a lawyer. And I had been in Cleveland State for a couple of years, and I was sitting there in a science class, in a biology class, and the Lord says, I've told you to start this church. It's time to get up. And so the professor was in the middle of talking, and I got up, put all my stuff in a backpack, and walked out of Cleveland State University. It was 7 o'clock at night. And I came home and told her the Lord told me to start a church. And it was interesting because the way this church started is funny, because we're walking in it now. But one of the things that I did is I didn't list the vision of the church first. That's not what God gave me. I didn't list any of the people that I thought that we would use, or titles, or even a location. He told me to list everything about church I didn't like. Everything about church that I saw.
So that's what you would avoid.
Absolutely.
That's what you would not do. You'd be mindful.
Take our ministry and do it completely different, and so that we can take those walls and those barriers up from people. And so that's what we've been doing. And so it's funny that we're having this conversation tonight, because we do that, and we've shifted some things in terms of the church. But same conversations we're having in terms of sex, and and of course in church,
Come on,
those mindsets and having to step outside of those margins and have those conversations.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, because we physically came in contact when the 3 young ladies were found in East Cleveland, Angela Desco, Sherelle Zateri, and Shatisha Shealy, and you opened your church. So many were opening their space to them, but it was to be an opportunist on their grief. And you opened it without any strings attached. And I will never forget that, because I was there, and I was speaking for the Shealy family because I watched those children grow up. So I'm Auntie Tanya to them. And now the mother, she passed a couple years ago. Kim passed. They've had tragedy since. They just had a brother that passed last year. But as a result, all the families asked me to speak for them, and you just were so kind, both of you. I just stood back and watched how you handled them so intricately and delicately, but intentionally.
I can tell you that experience was crazy for us, because right before that happened, months before that happened, we were just gifted that church building from Pastor Hannah.
Wow.
Pastor Hannah at Antioch Christian Fellowship was the name of that church prior to us moving in. And the significant thing about that is that Sherelle Zateri, one of those girls, had been
the
a member
18-year-old
of that church and was a praise dancer there. And we had just met and connected with her, and I knew her parents, and they were amazing. And to be able to rejoice with them in one moment, because we're passing the baton on this building, and then having to turn around and grieve with them the next second, it was just unbelievable. But to see you step into that space, because absolutely I remember that.
Yes.
Because it was to be able to step beyond all the cameras, all the news, and all the stuff people trying to do, and connect back to the heart of that matter, and connect back to that family was an amazing experience. And it's just crazy that we're sitting here now, and
Yes.
that experience came out, something amazing came out of that tragedy. But to see how you do ministry and how hard you hit the street, and how hard you leaned into that, I think that also helped empower us at the Empowerment Church.
Amen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it was just a huge opportunity to be a blessing. But you dropped a deposit not only in their lives but in ours too.
Iron sharpens iron, baby. I say it all the time. Many members of one body.
Yes.
And when the light shines, it shines on all of us because the sun shines in us and through us.
Yes.
Yeah, but that I will never forget. And then from there, I see where, you have food pantries and you feed, and you were doing it even through COVID. I was doing it at home, and you were still doing it on the streets and from your church through COVID. And as a result, then I look up and say, wait a minute, he running for what? Well, instead of councilman, why don't he just go on and do the daggone thing, become president, so we can have a viable candidate? Shucks. So what did Tiffany, I'm going to ask you first, what did that look like to you?
For counsel. So it was like, okay, this is what we're doing, right? Because that's usually how the conversation goes, right? Man gets the vision, God gives it to him, and it's like, all right, let's pick it up, let's run with it, right? Because that's our job as women. We bring the vision to life.
Yes.
So if he's running for counsel, if he's starting a ministry, if he's going after this avenue, then I'm going too. So, and that's what we did. We literally, from everybody, in our household, it's a family effort, right? So the kids were involved. We pulled them in. They walked the streets. And then me, I'm a tack dog as well, So he's got to be this way, right?
Right.
Out in the public,
right?
So he needs me to be able to come alongside. No, we're not doing that, right?
That's right.
So that's my role, and then I'll tell people in a minute. Okay, I'm not the elected. I'm not that. So,
I'm the seer.
right?
I'm the seer.
And that's my job. And
I'm the
from
seer.
I
watchman.
really, absolutely, in ministry, the same thing.
Yes.
I have to be those eyes. You see that because he's very heart heavy, and not to say that I'm not, but I also have a different level of discernment when it comes to how to handle people and what I'll allow into our space. So
I remember my husband, my late husband, and we pastored, and we were somewhere, and after service was over, I said, we need to go. We can't go back into the study. We can't linger here. And he looked at me. I said, don't question me. Let's go. And we left, and there was a potential setup in the pastor study. And so it's important, to all the women who are pastors and wives of pastors and the men who are pastors or spouses, husbands of a pastor, it's important that your eyes see what the other person can't see. Amen. When you're in the front, his eyes have to cover you. That's right. When he's in the front, your eyes have to cover him. And so we have to remember as spouses, we're each other's blanket. We're each other's safe space. We're each other's accountability partners as well. But I have your back, and sometimes we got to be your back because sometimes you're just tired and weak, and so we're going to stand there so that you can stand strong.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I admire that about you because everybody can tell and know that you are quite comfortable in who you are.
But it hasn't always been that way.
Okay, so how did it start?
It has not been that way. So, and he'll tell you, even going back to high school, he's always been in the forefront. Right?
Okay.
He's led every organization that he's ever been a part of. So it was usually me, he's got a hand and I'm being
tag along,
right?
Tip. Tag along, Tip. Okay.
So, it was a lot of going with the flow in the beginning because we were constantly on the move. He constantly had ideas. He was constantly doing. Wow. So it's a lot of following in the beginning. And
was it overwhelming? Because when God speaks, God sometimes it's just boom,
absolutely.
boom, boom, boom.
And he is the type of person, okay, God gives me this vision, I'm moving on it. Like it's not that he's not that, okay, I'm gonna sit in this for 40 days. No. Sometimes we're like, okay, let's fast and pray first. He's like, no, God said.
We gotta go.
Suddenly, everything is suddenly.
Let's go.
So, it was a lot of that in the beginning, and it took, I don't know, at what point did you kind of realize, because I think you kind of stepped in at some point, like, okay, now you've been doing this for me for a long time. What is it that you want?
When did the shift come?
And we do need to talk about that because it's important that people recognize, they hear you know her say that she supported her husband, she lifts it up, and people talk about that part. But marriage is a partnership. It's not servitude.
Come on now.
So that you have somebody who is constantly chasing after somebody else.
Come on.
As a man, it's my responsibility to make sure that what God has placed in her also gets birthed out. So what does that look like?
Yes.
And what I'm quick to tell people is she is only a first lady because she's married to a pastor. That's not who she is. So the question is, who else is she? What are those other layers? What else has she been exploring?
Let's peel back the onion.
And what's important about us is that took a mindset change for me because we've been together since high school.
Okay.
When I met her, she was a 15-year-old ninth grader. There was a lot of whatever I wanted to do was fine. Whatever I wanted to eat. We were going to the movies. We were going to the mall. I made those decisions. That even shifted even back then as she went to college. I tell people the first time I heard her say no, I'm like, what you mean no? Like, what do you mean?
I'm so good at saying no now, and I say it so smooth.
The freedom of no is liberated.
She had thoughts and opinions and taste and
she had a voice. She had a voice.
And so what was interesting for me is I learned that I didn't just have to learn to honor that voice and respect it one time. We had to relearn each other over decades. So
Now check this out.
Or years rather.
Let's put a pin there. A couple months ago, I had Apostle Melanie and Apostle Stephen Smith. They're assistant pastors of my church. Mel's my sister. And I was talking about that. I said, what happens is you get married at 17, at 20, at 30, but you need to know that before you say, I will marry you, you need to understand you still got to be married to the 50-year-old, even though you're getting married at 30.
Right.
That's right.
The 80 and the 90-year-old, and what that might look like, because it doesn't stop, because maturation continues. And even 40 and 6 months is different than 40 and 1 month.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, it is.
Together. So so like you said, it's an ongoing process, and you're always in the classroom with your spouse.
Yeah, constantly. If someone looks, in fact, it's interesting because it started before the pandemic. If you look at our church, even our online services, I think starting at 2018 or so, you're going to see a drastic shift. You're going to notice that she preaches less than she did before. Because I recognized she was spending a lot of her time doing ministry functions. But she has a business.
Yep.
She's got degrees with
Yes.
an S.
Come on.
She's got a full-time job as a mortgage underwriter. There's other things that she wanted to do, relationships and things. And I said, wait a minute. Is she leaning in and doing all these other events and ministry stuff for me and for this ministry? Or is this really because God called her to do it? Because you can do something well and serve your spouse and do it, but it doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to be doing in that season. And so I'm like, wait a minute. This is my thing. She's been chasing and running and building this thing with me forever. If it's going to live, it's got to live based on what I'm doing, what God is allowing to happen, and the leadership that we put in place. But I can't put her growth on pause while we continue to try to get this ministry to a place.
You better
because
say
there'll
that.
always be a place.
A place.
There'll always be something else. And so she's going to keep putting her life on hold for me until I'm done with my something else's. And then she's 60, 70, 80 years old, and she's looking at all these things that she can no longer do.
Right.
And so I had to put a stop, and I said, this isn't right. I said, I'm going to preach on Sundays. Sometimes she's not even at church on Sunday. She's got to run events and things for her business. I said, but we've got to change the way we operate, the way we communicate, the way we serve, and the way we show honor.
Yes.
And I can't have what I'm doing always be the most important.
Come on now.
I gotta be able to give her that freedom to flow.
Yes.
And so I had to lean in and make a conscious effort to say, if this thing is gonna rise, it's gonna fall. I'm gonna teach, I'm gonna preach, I'm gonna do my thing. But she has to be able to have the freedom to do what she wants to do, to invest in her dreams and her goals and her ideas. And she put her life on pause since 15, being a mama, being my wife. And now it's time for her to be a whole woman. And that's what I want to see. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you know, you have two versions of a first lady, right?
That's right.
You either have the first lady that is just there for show. She shows up, she's cute.
The big hat, nobody
she
can
plays
see
the
around,
part,
all that,
right?
yeah.
Or you have the first lady who co-pastors, and so she's all in, and she's teaching, and she's, you know, doing all these things in
You have a
ministries.
third one, though. You also have the first lady that's resentful because
right.
they're not
That's
allowed
true. So
and
you do have
permitted to
that.
be who they are.
Exactly. So when you have to pick as the first lady. Okay, I'm already thrust into this role that I didn't ask to be in, but now I need to figure out which one of these pegs I want to belong in. And whatever peg I pick, I better stay there, because that's the expectation that's now built around me.
Come on.
That's what my church expects. That's what the
culture.
That's what the culture expects. So
yes.
either you're the first, either you're not gonna be in ministry, or you're gonna be all in.
All in.
There's no in between there. So when you look at trying to find out, okay, what do I want as a woman? What do I want, for my life, for my future? What do I want to build?
There's no grace for the gray.
There's no grace for that.
No grace for the gray.
Everything is not black and white. And
that's right.
About
that's the truth.
The gray all
There's
the time.
no grace for the gray.
Because we get that confused. We hear the Bible say that, there's no, you're either hot or you're cold.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's true. However,
but that speaks to our service to God.
Exactly.
But
so
not to our life balance.
Life balance and the things that you encounter on an everyday basis, it's not always going to be that way.
That's right.
And you have to be okay with that.
That's right.
But we want to force ourselves to one extreme or the other, and then we find ourselves stuck. You're literally
miserable,
stuck.
unhappy.
Yeah, unhappy because there's no place for you to go because you don't even know you can.
So with that, what made you become a intimacy enhancement specialist?
Would you believe it if I told you it was him?
Yes. Oh, honey, listen, let me tell you. Yes, you know why? Because he knows you. He knows you better than anybody. And I think we're spouses, and let me preface this. I'm single, but I was married and I'm a widow now. So that means I have marriage experience. And so where spouses fail is when they forget to see their spouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
When the husband forgets to see his wife and the wife forgets to see her husband, and then you're like this. You keep crisscrossing, but you're never connecting.
That's right.
And at some point you have to connect. And so, yes, I definitely can believe that he saw it, because sometimes they just see stuff in us that we don't. Like where I'm at today, my husband saw this.
Yeah.
I said, that God ain't calling me to prophesy, to heal, and that's your call. That's all I do now. He saw it.
Yeah.
And as he was transitioning, impartation was being transferred from him to me, and I saw it. I saw what he saw, and now today I see what he saw in me. So I definitely believe it. So how did he approach you with it? Yo, babe, what's up?
So I think we were on kid number 4 by then, right? So kid number 4 was here. So that meant we needed a larger vehicle because the regular car doesn't work anymore, right?
Okay.
We can't off-grid and go in one place with 4
Somebody got to
children,
stay home.
right? Somebody has to stay. So we have to pick. So I was working full time. I was working in a bank, and I had just started my master's program. So I'm like, you know what? We need a bigger car, but I need a way to pay for this car, and it's not in the budget right now.
Okay.
So I wanted to find something that I could make my own, something that I could do, but I'm like, okay, I have 4 kids. I'm in school full time. I'm going to work full time. I don't have time to work some night and weekend at the mall, or
That's right.
for minimal,
some crazy
minimal
shift
dollars,
for no money. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time for that. So naturally, I start looking like a lot of women do into direct sales opportunities. And I'm like, I don't like any of this stuff. I'm like, I'm not. Listen,
you were more than that.
I can clean up well, but I'm not the girly girl, right? Like,
right.
I put me on some earrings, and that's not me, right? A blinged out purse, not me. I'll wear it, but it's not
me. Yeah,
I couldn't care less, right? So there were a lot of options for me, and so this one came along, and I think you saw an interview on TV or a commercial or something, and he's like, you should sell Pure Romance. Now, I had never been to a Pure Romance party before.
Really?
No, I had not. I browsed the catalog.
Right.
I've been invited to a party, but as a first lady, you don't get invited to those types of things.
Right.
So this was not something that I was exposed to. Now, familiar, yes, but not exposed to.
Right.
So I'm like, this man has lost his ever-loving mind. And I literally said to him, and watch this, I said, how do you think we're going to pull that off?
Because you're a pastor.
Because we're pastors, right? I'm like,
and there's
not going to be acceptable
in the church.
Yeah. And his response was, I don't care what those people think. He says, the church doesn't want to talk about sex, and they don't want to talk about money. And when they do it wrong. So you go do it right.
Hey.
We have to.
Wait a minute. We're going to drop a mic. We're going to drop a proverbial mic. Boom.
Yep.
That was a drop mic right
You
there.
have unhealthy families in the church because they're not being taught well about those two subjects. How to control their money, how to enjoy sex and intimacy with their spouse and be honest about those struggles with it. And it's destroying marriages. Those two issues, not just in the church, outside of the church too. We've got to be honest about those two things. And and if we're not going to educate people, we got to stop just telling them to believe in faith and have faith. I tell empowerment churches,
Faith without works is what? Dead.
You're going to pray, but you're going to get off your knees and you got to do some things differently if you want to earn this money. If you want to save your marriage, you've got to start working through those intimacy issues and have open communications about what you like and you don't like. Otherwise, you get shocked because we're communicating that to somebody else outside of our home.
Come on now.
So now they know what gaps we need filled. Now they know how
and they know how to come in the holes and in the gaps and occupy that space.
Because we're preaching folks when they get married to just pray. That's the counseling that we give folks, and we send them all out there. And if you just keep God in the middle of it, it'll be all right.
And that is not being. Let me say this: equally yoked doesn't mean that I believe in God and he believes in God. Equally yoked means that you have to understand that at times I may go to the grocery store for milk and come back hours later because an assignment took place there, and I can't have you be insecure and intimidated by the call and the anointing on my life, because I don't have time to do God's work and explain God's work to you. Certain things God will match up with you so that it won't be a struggle for you while you're doing it. You know, and then if you enjoy sex and this person is very prudent with it, that's not being equally yoked. Just, honey, I love God and you love God, but that ain't enough, because I'm not listening to near my God to thee when it's time to turn off the light. You know, that's not going to work. You know, there's laying on hands and then there's laying on hands.
I tell people a godly marriage does not mean a sexless marriage.
Come on.
That's not what that means at all.
Because you can love God and have good sex in your marriage.
You need to.
Because the Bible says marriage is honorable, and the marriage bed is undefiled. Defiled means it's corrupt. Defiled means it's out of order. Defiled means it's not approved. So if it's undefiled, it is not corrupt. It is in order, and it is approved by God. You know, unless you're doing anything that's going to break the vows. Then that's something different.
Listen, I expect God to put his super on my natural everywhere.
You better come on.
Especially if I ask him to bless my money, bless my honey. Like I need everything to operate and move. God, I want more abundantly.
Come on now.
I'm not
above all that I can ask or think. Come on
God,
now.
you got to be in the room during this. Go ahead and just bless this thing.
Because I'm going to call on your name while we in the room. Hallelujah.
Both of us might.
And tongues might come. Hello. Come on. Shanda. Hey. Hallelujah. Oh, God. Thank you.
I want to learn. I can enjoy this thing. I can enjoy this thing.
Yes. I tell younger ladies and I tell women that, you know, sometimes we say stuff that is such cliches. Like, oh, I'm saving myself for Jesus. Please show me in the scripture where that says that a woman should save herself. Please show me where that makes sense. I'm gonna take a bath for Jesus. What chapter verse, please? Chapter. Stop saying stuff because you think it sounds
make
good.
Love to God.
Yes, I have heard all kind of foolery, and I'm like, that's not even scriptural. I had one lady tell me when she heard I was doing this show, she thought that she was grown enough to call me and tell me that I was out of order. So I was grown enough and told her that my pastor knows about the show and he didn't tell me I was out of order. He said that's the kind of discussion the church needs to talk about.
Sure does.
You know, and he's a chief apostle. And so, yeah, go sit somewhere, have several seats. Because here's the thing, because you had a bad experience with sex. And listen, I'm going to speak, my first child is a prodigal rape. That was that person. That situation, not my whole life. And sometimes we won't allow ourselves to be healed from that person, that situation, and that moment because we think we hold power in becoming a victim. But there's power in becoming the victor because then you've overcome that one person, that one moment, and that one situation. And then what happens is when our husband or our wife is asking for more intimacy, we say that they're nagging. No, they're letting you know that I am suffering from a sexual deficiency here, an intimacy deficiency here. I'm spiritually and sexually constipated now because now you're messing with my spirit, because I believe God to give me a husband that will fulfill the desires of my heart. And this is one of my desires, and you're not fulfilling it. So now this person's confused spiritually as well.
I think there's two reasons that you see that happen. You've got folks who are dealing with that past trauma, need to heal, and then there's other folks who are telling their spouse, no, I don't want it, or I'm not in the mood, I don't need it, because there's something else going on that they won't be honest about or communicate. There's some type of sexual issue there that maybe they're struggling through. And that's why I think it's critical that if you can't talk to your wife about sex, if you can't talk to your husband about sex, like
Come on.
you know what I mean? We've got to have those open conversations. And especially in our marriages, we've got to make room for those conversations. Because one of the things that I said at the beginning of this is I had to relearn her over and over and over again. What people don't like to talk about is you can't have 15-year-old sex at 7.
Child, listen.
Things are going down. Listen, you could try, but somebody gonna need a chiropractor, a healer,
Oxygen, an ambulance. Jesus, yeah.
So you got to be honest about the fact that some of the stuff that you like or that we used to do, we might have to make some adjustments.
Come
but we don't
on.
even want to have.
But
those
you have to have
conversations.
those conversations.
Yes.
And it was so crazy because I can't remember the statistic at the moment, but there are so many, especially women, who won't even, or who are afraid to even tell their spouse what they like. Some women don't know, number one, because they've never been given the permission to explore. So we'll start there. But number two, even when they do, because now I'm married now, so I better forget everything that I did before.
And how about this? How about I'm just gonna fake like it was good to me?
Or you, and that, oh my gosh, now that is something
I am
that
not gonna
grinds
cheat
my gears.
myself. Girl, listen.
That's what and I tell my women, listen, I'm like, if you fake it, mean you have a problem. We have a problem now because I've taught you this is not the way to do it. Why should I suffer? Why should I suffer? You just had a great time.
A great time.
You had a great time in your couple minutes, right? And I'm sitting here, and not only am I, I'm not fulfilled, right? I'm frustrated, and I didn't even get a piece of what I wanted because I didn't even have the confidence to have that conversation. And so many women have been conditioned that it is all about him.
Yes.
Especially in society in general, but especially in the church. And I've been at those conferences. Yes. Oh, we're gonna have the conversation about sex. We're gonna talk. We're gonna bring all the wives in, and we're gonna have these conversations. So you have women in this room who feel empowered, but you've literally only empowered them to do what he wants to do. You've said he's a man. He has needs. He has desires. You don't want him looking at pornography. You don't want him stepping out. This is your role as a woman. So you've now diminished your value down to just being a sex toy.
Nobody's telling him what he needs to do. Nobody's telling him, no, you can't just get off work and come and jump on that woman.
But the Color Purple, what she say? He just climb on top of me and do his business. And she said you didn't make it sound like you're going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
We don't prepare the same way. We expect because we teach,
and we don't get turned on the same way.
We teach women to do their hair, put on lingerie. We gonna give you whatever we got, whatever drawers we had on, whatever sweat we have on, whatever we just feel like.
No preparation.
There has to be investment in it. And I tell this to both men and women. If you invest in that time, like she'll tell you, she know what's coming. Because I call it setting the atmosphere.
Yes.
That's what we teach our couples. It's much more than just getting down and busy.
It's got to be a shift in the atmosphere.
I'm looking at the bed sheets. I'm looking at the scent. She knows she's going to walk in and she's going to smell some stuff. The lights are going to be different.
Yes.
I done laid some stuff out. We want to set
preparation.
The tone. Right. We're trying to
preparation.
And I'm not just thinking about the act. I'm thinking about everything after. I want her to be able to relax. She gonna be tired. She might be a little hungry. She might need to sip on some snacks out there.
That's
we
right.
Gonna chill.
That's
We're gonna
right.
make this
It's an experience.
That's right. It's an experience.
And it's ministry.
It is. It is.
It is
we done been at work all day dealing with these kids. This is our moment. We're not gonna rush into this.
That's right.
We're gonna enjoy it.
That's right.
It's so critical that you have those things and those important issues. And one of the things I want to even say about that in terms of men, a lot of what's important about sex sex isn't even the act itself.
No.
One of the things that I do for her, it doesn't even happen normally around that time. But she loves a full body massage.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's at the top of her list. I'm going to give that to her with no expectations. And I make sure when I do that, nothing else is happening. Because I don't want to say,
you're
now
sowing
you
into her.
That's right.
I don't want you to think
this
this
is happening
come
that
on.
night.
That's
but it's
so
helping with that
unselfish.
understanding and making sure that I'm understanding there are other things that she needs physically. And my touch is one of those things. We need to have those conversations as men, and we just don't have those. And I think a lot of us would be less frustrated if we took the time to find out, what do you need to even get in that mode?
Yes.
What needs to happen? There's certain times of the day.
Yes.
You know, where I want to get my work and stuff done, and I can focus on it. Okay, then maybe we might be at nighttime. Well, what else do you need? Maybe you don't want to give me none after cooking, and you just got off work, and you're dealing with grandkids.
Yes.
So I need to take
order
all.
food, right?
That's right. So I'm saying we're not cooking tonight. We're gonna DoorDash this thing for us or them. Them kids getting pizza, they can work it out with Jesus. And sometimes it has to be like that. And so we have a group message with our kids. They know them nights.
Come
y'all
on.
on y'all own. That's literally what she puts. Y'all on your own.
I'm off
tonight.
the clock.
I'm off the clock. We out of here.
That's
and so you gotta be able to invest in that time. I also gotta notice sometimes the house ain't it. Maybe she's not feeling comfortable because there's kids moving around and stuff. I got to get her to a hotel.
Shift the
and
environment.
So quick to get out. We got to get up out this house. We'll be in Cleveland at a hotel.
My kids say, where y'all go?
Airbnb. Kids don't know what's happening exactly when we coming back. You got to be able to make those moves and take those breaks. And it allows you the freedom to explore each other in a way that maybe you can't do in the house too.
And I think it's vitally important to have those dates.
Absolutely.
Those dates outside the home, because sometimes you might want to scream like Tarzan and Jane, and at home with other people around, especially your children, you're restricted, and sometimes you just need to take off restrictions and be free. That's right. And it's okay. It's okay. I remember when I was married, my husband, of course my husband was alive if I was so married, duh. But I went out with some married ladies in ministry. And I'm sitting there tearing up the appetizers. And they were talking about, because I'm tired. He better go somewhere else and da-da-da. You know what I mean? I said, no, honey, I don't know what you mean. I said, because one thing I don't use that as punishment. I said, now I might use it as reward, but I sure ain't gonna use it. Because if he ain't getting that, I ain't getting that.
Come on.
And so let me tell you, and if you're not giving it to him, who else is willing to give it to him? That is not cute. What you just said is not cute, and it's not even biblical.
Because we think that's a power move.
It. And then I heard one of the ladies say, well, I'm on a fast. He got to understand. I said, and you are out of order, and you just need to go somewhere and eat now. Because the Bible says your body's his and his is yours. And if you did, the Bible tells you, before you abstain from that in a fast, you have to clear it with your spouse. And if you did not clear it, you just sinned. So you turning down that plate ain't going to do anything because you turned it down the wrong way.
Even if you mad, you can figure it out. I tell you, all the time.
That ain't mad.
At each other up here, but
we ain't mad
down there.
I should tell my husband that.
In agreement with this,
baby.
So we might not speak the whole time, but it's going down. Look here,
period.
Because you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do.
So when you enjoy one another and understand that, I think it opens up and it breeds an opportunity.
Yeah,
it definitely breeds an opportunity.
And it goes back to that communication. And then another thing, though, like sometimes men, I know certain medications for diabetes and high blood pressure.
Just having that conversation.
Certain medications can cause a man not to rise to the occasion, so to speak. And instead of going and saying, I need help, they sometimes want to say, well, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And that's not the answer. Go to the doctor. Have your annual checkups. Have your annual physicals. Get active, get busy, and then figure out other ways to introduce the intimacy in there, because there's always something that you can do.
Absolutely.
And even for women, well, my body doesn't respond like it used to. I'm not how I used to be in that area. Well, there's creams and there's things that can help you. Have a conversation with your doctor.
Yes.
That is what they are there for. But no, you want to go to the podiatrist to fix a toothache. And then you wonder why your foot feel good, but your tooth is still hurting. And so we go and talk to our friends who might not be experienced those things and don't know anything.
Can't advise you on anything.
Exactly.
This is what I did.
Right. Or say, girl, well, honey, that's just him. That's just his libido. You don't have to worry about it. No, you do that to your husband. I had a young lady, she called me, she just said, I need to be frank. My husband said that he needs more from me intimately. And I said, then you need to learn the power of a nap. You have younger children. You need to learn the power of you taking a power nap and the power of putting them on a schedule to take a nap.
Yeah.
Who said it always has to be at night? You lay them down at night to go to sleep, but now you're tired. Lay them down during the day, and you have an afternoon delight.
Come on, somebody.
You know,
That's right.
or you get a
I can eat
babysitter
a
to
sandwich
come.
later.
Come and sit with your children, and then send him a text and do some role reversal and tell him where to meet you at. And your name is not. Say your name's Cindy. No, it ain't Cindy that day. It's
Right.
Lisa.
The younger the kids
How
are, the
about
more
that?
creative you have to be. But
Yes.
we didn't start having sex when our kids became teenagers.
Right.
Come on now.
This is something we had to work into that process. We're about to sacrifice that, and in many cases, it's unfortunate because you see in marriages, you see people sacrifice that for years until children get to another stage. And I tell them for two reasons. Number one, you could be having some of the best sex of your life because you ain't never getting no younger than you are right now. So you need to go ahead and get it in.
Come on now. Come on.
Number two, as soon as your kids get to an age where they see something they like, they ain't gonna think about you no more. So now you and your husband have invested all this time in these children and put your life on pause. And now they're gone, they're dating, they're going to college, they got a job, and y'all looking at each other and don't know what to do.
Who are you?
You don't restart that clock then. It has to be investment. And one of the things that we are both committed to with our children is making sure they recognize we love y'all. But this is a priority because we can't be the best to you if this marriage is not right.
That's right.
So you gonna see us leave.
That's right.
You gonna see us go get a hotel.
And you're
gonna see me
teaching
kiss,
them though.
You're gonna see me kiss him. You're gonna see him come up from behind me and grab me
We
from
gonna
flirt
we
in front
gonna
of
do
them. They need
all
to
Yes.
If we take y'all on a vacation, we going on one. And that's just
right.
how it works. And so you have to be able to teach them that is important. It is critical that you invest in your spouse as much as your children. And some people don't recognize I'm all about my babies. I'm all about my child.
Yes.
They ain't gonna keep you warm at night. Sooner or later, they're gonna have somebody they cuddle with.
Because they get grown, baby, and leave.
That's right.
And when they're younger, get those kids out of your bed.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh, this is not your bed.
Wait a minute.
This is not your bed.
Wait a minute. Do you know how many couples I know where the mother sleeps with one child and the dad in one room and the father's with another child or a couple children in another room? And then where do you meet in the middle?
Where do you meet?
And then both of you are frustrated, both of you are tired, but you didn't
never had
set
time to come
boundaries.
together.
Tell you something. If that
Them kids is
child
gonna
won't leave
cry.
out of that bed, y'all better hop on that couch and do your thug fizzle. Because something got to move.
Yeah,
well, we
no.
can't because I can't put this on. It's too important to where we are.
Yeah, you don't have the right to walk in my room anytime you want to.
That's right.
My kids learn very quickly. You better knock.
Period.
Because if you don't, that's on you. So you knock.
That's
and
right.
you wait on the response.
And I'm glad you
And you
bring that up.
respect our space because you've
Absolutely.
established
And
boundaries.
when the door's open, come on in. We'll have all the kids and they'll stand there for hours talking to us. But when that door is closed,
because we've
That's it.
invested
my kids
in
say
that
if they see the door closed and the lights out, don't even bother.
That's
don't
it.
knock.
There's equipment in there. There's stuff in there. There's
Wait a minute.
everything we need.
Pause. This is when I really fell in love with y'all after the fact. I was like, oh, they for real, my peeps. When you were going on a vacation and it was a video, a live chat, or you had a picture or something. But you said, Tiff, he asked me if I packed the bag, and I had to let him know, oh, honey, that bag gets packed first.
It's the fun bag.
That's the fun bag.
We don't go anywhere without the fun bag. The fun bag.
We
is-
might not have clothes, but
Ain't no
that fun
underwear, ain't no
bag.
socks in there, ain't no swimming trunks.
About all of that
Ain't
somewhere
no
else.
deodorant. That's right. But the fun bag is
Packed.
it's
That's
going on the plane.
important.
It's important.
And I use that. I tell, like when I'm going to marry somebody, I have to go through counseling, and I give them questionnaires. It's the same questions, but I tell them you can't share your answers with each other, and you have to email it back to me. And that allows me to approach certain topics without disclosing completely how the other feels. I can just use some scenarios and plant some other seeds and give them other perspectives in the group talk, and then individually I can get it head on with them. But that is so important that you have your intimacy enhancement bag?
Listen, we invest in every area of our life, into every other relationship
Because
that we have.
When you make an investment, you expect a
return, right? You want a return on that investment.
That's right.
So here's the thing: we don't a lot of times invest in our intimacy with our spouse.
Yep.
You can go out on a girls trip with your best friends, right? You can go, to a concert, with your sister. You can do all these different activities. Your intimacy with your spouse, that's the only thing that can only be you two. So why aren't you investing in it? But we don't place that same value on that part of the relationship. Oh no, but you'll make sure your best friend got a gift for her birthday. You'll make sure that you went here, or y'all got matching outfits.
Let me take it to church. You'll make sure that you're there so the pastor can see you on his anniversary, on choir day, on the day.
You'll make sure you sold into that, right? You paid those dues,
overtime,
all of
double
that.
time, triple time, and you're cooking food for them, and he comes home hungry, and you don't even have a meal prepared on your stove for him. So you're giving everything that you got to everybody else, but you're not giving anything to the help.
That's right.
One of the things I want to say about that fun bag is that by not and for folks who are like, what's in a fun bag? We got toys in there, we got lubes in there, we got all kinds of stuff. We got oils in there.
Fun bag.
We got that's our fun bag based on what we
and
like.
My fun bag might be different
But
than yours,
what
but it's
that
my
bag
fun bag
speaks to is preparation.
That's
it means that I
come on.
plan for you.
Right.
I'm thinking about what you need so that we can have a great time no matter where we are. So by not preparing for that, but you prepared for the food on the vacation, you
Right.
prepared,
You
got
packed
your
your
hair done
clothes,
and your
your
haircut
hair. Yep.
and the pool and all of that, but you didn't pack anything for intimacy. You're saying, I want to enjoy you on this trip, but I didn't prepare for you. I didn't plan
so
for
good.
you.
That's
I
so
didn't think
good.
about that. So I tell
that's
people
the whole book. This book is.
that
This is the whole book here.
because a fun bag is important to us, because if we going out on vacation, we eating on vacation every day, we in the ocean every day, we having sex every day. Every day. Every day.
Day.
Several.
Night.
And so we want to prepare for that.
That's
and we
right.
don't want to do the same old thing. So having a
right.
bag lets you have variety. It gives you options.
But what it does
it keeps
is
things
also
spicy.
prepares, because like we had said, sometimes you might have to, when you're on vacation, you're doing maybe a little more than what you would at home. There's lubes and different things that you
Absolutely.
can use that helps you maintain the same sensation or a heightened level.
Yeah.
Listen,
Or a variety
This
of
is your
sensations.
husband.
You
This
talking
is your
right.
wife.
You
this
talking
is
right.
your fun bag, baby. You don't take a test without a number 2 pencil.
That's right. And listen, and open the bag on the way there.
Oh, yes.
Listen.
How about
Wait till we get to the hotel.
Wait a minute. How about open up the bag on the way there and just say, look what else I got?
Yeah.
Because you can always surprise your spouse with a trick or a treat.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
You ain't gotta wait for October for tricks and treats.
All of that. All of it. Sexy does not start. we have a saying in our business is that sexy does not start when the lights go out. It starts when the sun comes up.
the sun comes up.
Everything that you do from the time that you wake up, that's your foreplay.
Because sex care is self-care.
That's right, absolutely. So from the time I got up, how were you speaking to me, right? Did I, what was I doing in the kitchen? Did I help you with the kids today? Everything goes into that, right?
See, no, because I'm knocking out tasks now. Tell me what you got to do on the list.
Listen, let them have ordered the food already for the
Listen here.
kids and plan this.
Preparation.
They're gonna eat dinner at 2 o'clock today.
Listen, it's like, you know what that reminds me of? You know how when your children want to go out to play and their friends come over, you say, did you clean your room? Your friends say, come on, we're going to help you clean your room. So that's what it is.
Exactly.
I'm making preparation. So, baby, what do you have to do? Okay, well, I can handle this.
Literally.
You just handle that. I got this. And in an hour, we come back. Okay, come on, let's go.
I'm going to go do this on lunch. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to order this. Boom. Done.
Gotta invest
It can
and
be
gotta
so
plan.
simple if you just put forth the effort to do so.
Put forth the effort. And then it goes back to what you said, though, Anthony. It's you said it's not just basically wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You have to understand her love language. You have to understand what it takes, even when you know that she's stressed and she's been through it. You have to know what to do to pull her back so that you can pour into her, the way that you desire. But sometimes it just might just be a cuddle that night because that's all that they need right now. Yeah. And sometimes it's not taking the L. Sometimes you got to wait till the middle of the night or maybe in the morning to do the rest. But sometimes you just got to learn how to rework that plan.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Because it's not going to work the way you want it to all the time.
Right.
Right. But being flexible and being able to make adjustments and, like you said, come back to it later. But don't be stuck there, right? Like, oh, this didn't work. Or, you know, and then you're mad and you feel some type of way about each other because you didn't try to do anything further. You're just like, oh, well, this didn't work. So
you just quit.
we just cut it, right? Like,
they rejected
right.
it. No, they just didn't like that.
Yeah, we didn't like that, or my body it's not working the same way today, and that's the reality, especially getting older, right?
Which is also why toys help.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of men don't want to talk about that,
Yes.
but these are enhancement tools, not a replacement. And
Team players.
That's right.
That's
Team
right.
players.
This is not your competition.
You got people on the team, baby.
It's on the team.
Everything
Some
is
be
enhanced in
MVPs
height.
sometimes.
Right. You can work through, you can find some things, and then there are some medical issues you might have that toys absolutely are going to help.
necessities.
Absolutely.
That's
And so
right.
we need to be honest about that. You know, the point is we're going to have fun, we're going to explore, we're going to figure some things out. I can't get offended or be in my feelings or think that thing is going to replace me. It can never do what I can do.
It can never.
But with me, Lord have mercy.
Hey,
So we can make this work together.
there's a ribbon in the sky
There's
for
a hit.
our love. Yes.
So, but we have to be honest
Yes.
about the fact that those things, a lot of people think that it replaces, and it doesn't.
No, it
It's
doesn't. It
enhanced. It enhances, and in many
Yes.
cases, it fills
It's
in
an
some gaps.
And technically, like you said, for those who have some medical issues, it's an extension.
Absolutely.
You know, that can help you cross that bridge, you know, where there might have been a gap because there were some things that we might not have taken care of medically, or some things that are still in the process working themselves out, but it hasn't come to the full flourishing of healing yet. But it's an enhancement, you know, and an extension. And I think what happened is you give all of this to the person you're dating. You do all of this while you're dating. But then you get married, you get saved, you and act like that you can't do anything else.
Right.
Yep.
You know, but
So
just-
holy, ain't no
holy.
sense. Just Jesus.
Right.
So self-righteous, you're no earthly good. There's no balance, and everything is an abomination, and God wouldn't be pleased. And but you don't have a scripture to back it up.
Right.
You know,
There
but yet
is.
when you were in sin, you had the best sex. But now that you're
How
married,
many
you're
times have I
having
said that? Let me
you're
tell you
having the
something.
How
worst
many
sex.
times have
Ain't
I
no
said that?
scripture
Make it
telling me
make
not
sense.
to bend her over about it.
Hey, come on.
If that's what God is calling for in this season, who am I to judge?
Who am I
So
to
you gotta
judge?
be real about what you can and can't. Like, come on now, we can't get so back.
People, listen, people look at me and they say, "You want to be married again?" I said, "Well, why ain't you?" Because God hasn't sent that one yet. A man who finds a wife finds a good thing. I'm out and about. I present myself and I'm busy in my day, and I will catch his eye when it's time for his eye to be caught by me. But until then, I'm busy. But I'm not sitting at home.
That's
busy.
right.
I will go to line dance. I'm going on a cruise
Yeah.
by myself in November. I'm keeping healthy, you know, and I look good for me.
That's right.
You know, because I'm not going to wait till I get married to do my hair. I'm going to do it now.
Come
Why?
on.
For me.
Come on.
Because first of all, I need to look good for me and to me. Because if I don't feel good, if I don't feel sassy, if I don't feel sexy, he's going to look at me and say, well, you know, she has potential, but she's a little frumpy.
Yeah. And
You know?
and same thing. And even once you get in that relationship, it's the same thing.
That's right.
You know,
You continue it.
We'll continue as women, right? Like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna throw on these jogging pants,
Right.
And that's cute sometimes. Like, don't get me
Sometimes.
wrong. He's like, oh, you got on my shirt, you know. But most of the time, he's like, come on, this, like, oh, you gonna keep that bonnet on all the time?
Me
You
too,
know,
my
like,
husband
come on
said.
now, like you gotta put forth some more
One
effort.
day,
here.
I went to pick up my husband from work, and I was about a size 12, and I had put a pair of his jeans on. He was 6'2".
Oh.
I'm only 5'5", but I was a 12, so I had a bodysuit on.
Yeah.
Turtleneck. Put his jeans on, and I rolled them. This is before they started doing it, and I rolled them. And then I cuffed them, and I had some high heel, come get me, got your good boots. With a leather short-waisted jacket on. Had my hair slicked back in a ponytail. He said, why don't you dress like that when we hang out on Saturdays? And I said, I don't know. So then I put sweats on the next weekend, right? And he made the comment again, babe, why don't you wear a pair of my pants or something? He didn't have to make that comment no more.
Yeah.
He didn't have to make that comment another
And listen
time.
at how he presented it. That's right. That's right. You
I
picked
caught
it
it. I caught it real quick. Real quick. I remember the first time I sent him flowers on the job. He said he worked down in the government building for Lockheed Martin, and he said, at first, babe, I ain't gonna lie, you sent me 3 dozen of roses. I was so embarrassed. He said, because the guys was joking with me. He said, but then a couple hours later, they came back and was like, man, if my wife did that, man, just something that small, like wow,
Yeah.
like he would call me Bay, like Bay did this, Bay did that. So after they were reading the eulogy, and they said, and he leaves to cherish his memory, his loving wife, Tanya Robinson Williams, who he affectionately called Bay. It was like a collective. Oh, because they thought my name was Bay. Because he referred to me as Bay all the time. Bay, 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 Bay. They didn't know my name was Tanya, you know?
Wow.
But we had to communicate because he had some struggles there with his sexual identity and stuff. And so we had to work through some things in the natural and in the spirit together.
Yes. You have to.
Together. You know, God, that's who God told me I had to marry. And so, oh, wow. So you work through it together. You don't jump the ship, you know, because the sea is a little rough, you know, the waves are a little tumultuous. You stay on the boat and you trust God to navigate that ship. And I think what is happening is instead of us having open dialogue like this in the church, and instead of pastors keeping it real, raw, and righteous with their couples in the church, they keep just saying, oh, just pray, it's going to work itself out. Well, let me tell you something. If you got a splinter in your finger, praying is fine, but if you're not removing the
Right, you just
splinter,
leave it there?
it's going to stay there and you're going to have an infection. You know, faith without works is dead. I could be hungry and say, God, send me some food. They delivered the food to my porch and I'm looking at the food. Now, if I don't bring it in my home, put it in the freezer and refrigerator, it serves me no purpose. But then even if I put it in the refrigerator and freezer, if I do not cook it, it serves me no purpose. So there's still a provision for what God has given you that you have to
That's
work.
right. And if you leave it out, it's going to go bad.
That's it. And we're so focused on giving our wives the bling ring, but you don't want to give her the bling thing. You see what I'm saying? The priorities are distorted.
Oh, yeah.
And they have been dismantled, and we need to reestablish the proper priorities in a marriage. Like you said, that relationship's first. Because if you're not good on one accord, then everything that comes from the head falls on the body, which is the children. And so now they're dysfunctional in relationships.
I tell people, think about what else you're not producing. Think about what else
on.
isn't happening, because you're spending time that you could have been making love and you could have been enjoying yourself, and you're spending time arguing. That all of that, you can't build, you can't grow, you can't expand, and you can't allow God to enlarge your territory. How can two walk together unless they agree? And so we can't walk forward if we're constantly at each other's throat. Love making helps to reset that.
Yes,
that
it does.
intimacy, having those real conversations brings you closer. She can't be my best friend if we don't talk about sex, if we don't talk about those struggles, if we don't talk about those desires. If I'm telling my best friend since the third grade, Horace, we just saw in Atlanta, if I'm telling him stuff that I'm not telling her, there's a problem. Because I'm not laying in the bed with him. I'm laying in bed with her.
Come
she
on
needs
now,
to
make it
know
plain.
what's happening and where that frustration is,
That's
what
right.
my pain points are.
That's right.
Not just about sex, but in life general. What's weighing me down? I need to know.
What happened at
what's
work?
pulling on
Come
your
on
spirit.
now,
That
yes.
could be a wall here. I need to know those things,
Yes.
because there are times that I tell folks, well, we are just in each other's presence for hours laying in that bed. Ain't nothing happening. We just silent because we just needed that. And you need to be able to enjoy each other's presence to the point where if no one is saying anything, if there's no sex happening, there's a rest in your spirit you get from that person because they understand. It doesn't even have to be spoken. But that intimacy is so critical to a marriage.
So we're going to put up your information, Tiff, because what I want people to see your information, because if they want to reach out to you, they're able to reach out to you, and just tell a little bit about what you do.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
tell them what you got.
What do I do and what do I have? So I'm a consultant with Pure Romance. We are a company that focuses on women's sexual wellness and intimacy. So everything from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. So from your bath and body to your intimacy enhancements, lingerie, and things of that nature. I offer couples consultations for couples to come in and talk about, some of the issues they're having, some possible solutions for them as well, and of course all the tools to go along with. We do parties for women where women can get together just in a safe space with their closest friends and family and talk about the issues that they're having and be able to take home some products as well. So all of that. I also do boudoir photo shoot
Oh,
events.
honey, I saw that photo shoot. Baby, listen, it's in September.
It is in September.
Oh, yes. I'm
You'll
trying to be
right.
ready by then. I'm to try.
That's right.
I'm
So
try.
we're all about women's empowerment and just gaining that confidence back.
Yeah.
And, we think that, we've got to, by being modest, we think that means we need to just, have
Look frumpy.
Look frumpy and just head to toe completely covered. And it's not that, like what'd you say the other day? You're like, I don't want a woman nobody else wants. Right?
I don't want to walk when I go out in public. Ain't nobody looking at you.
Nobody's looking at you.
Nobody looking.
And it's not that you're doing it for attention, and that's the bad rap that women get, right? Like, she just want to be seen. And no, it's not that. I want to feel good. Your brain is your biggest sex organ. So when you look good, you feel good, you're more inclined to be in the mood, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that is why it's vital to have date nights.
Absolutely.
That is why it is vital to have date nights. It is vital to date your mate. And again, so just to go back to how we started, July 11th is the official kickoff of Summer Nights' Signature. It's free from 6 to 9. It's free.
Oh,
You just
I
bring
love
your
it.
lawn chair. And they have food trucks, but then they cater. So they had some food that was slamming there too. I learned a new little line dance there, the reggae, nah, nah, nah.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, get that swerve in there.
That's it. So listen, and single ladies, prepare yourself for marriage. Do the work now so that you don't give him a headache later. Do the work now. Don't wait until you think somebody's looking. Give them a reason to look, baby.
Right.
It's all right to be saved and sassy and classy.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you two for being my
Yes,
guest.
thanks for having
us.
such a good
Because it is truly
conversation.
okay to love God and have good sex in your marriage.
Yes, it is.
Reach out to
Hallelujah.
Tiff if you have any questions. You can email me at conversationswithauntie@gmail.com. You stay well, you stay blessed, and I will see you next month where we have another discussion about real life because I'm Auntie and we're going to have a real talk about real life.